folks, welcome back to the Dash of Line. Got another review for you today. This time we're going to have a look at Field of Glory 3rd edition Army Lists, Book 1. Now this covers the armies from the Bronze Age up through the late Roman Republic, about 25 BC. We're going to take a look at those armies, how you build a list in Field of Glory 3rd edition, and I'll give you my opinion on this bad boy and see if it's worth it. So let's get right into this. This is Volume 1, Field of Glory Army Lists. This volume covers early Bronze Age to the late Republican Roman armies. It cuts off about 25 BC. Again, this is Book 1. There's a planned 3 volumes in all for the Field of Glory 3rd edition, and currently there are 2 volumes available at the time of this recording. So this is Book 1. Now it's a softback, as you can see. It's about 143 total pages. You got an advert on the back. Publisher, of course, is Caliber Books. There are a total of 53 individual army lists. However, some lists cover more than one army, so you're getting about 67 or so total army lists, as you can see here. Like, for instance, Middle and Early Neo-Assyrians. So you get a couple armies there. In addition, there's 11 separate army lists for allies, and I'll get into that in a moment. And these are listed down here in Appendix 1, the Allied Army Lists. One thing to note about this, there is no index. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're looking for your army, you pretty much know where it is. You don't need to look up specific terms and words, but there is no index in here. There is 3 pages of introduction, which we're going to look at right now, which is very useful. It tells you how to use the army lists, examples of building your armies, battle groups, the rules of forming battle groups, and so on and so forth. Now, every army, let's take a look at a couple armies, actually. For instance, let's see, you got some nice colored pictures here, too. I should point that out. Let's say we were going to do an army for the Romans. Let's look at one of my favorites, the early and mid-Republican Romans. It starts off, every army list starts off with a little brief historical description of the armies, its commanders, a little bit of its history, and so on. Of course, we got some nice pictures here, color pictures and painted miniatures as well. And it gives you some advice on building your own customized army for this army list using the point system in Field of Glory. Again, the way the lists are laid out, you're going to have a basic army listing, and it's going to list all your troops that you have to have, as well as your options, the optional troop types you can have, and any other restrictions, etc., would be covered in that. In addition, if you look at these listings, for instance, let's look at this, early and mid-Republican Roman continued. That's the other side of the page. Okay, let's take a look at this listing here. Now, this is under the core troops that you have to take as part of your army, not the optional listing. But let's take a look at this, the Hastati and Principe. Basically, there's 2 different rows you can follow along here to choose from. So let's see, let's take the top row. First of all, they're considered heavy foot, and that would be their type. Next is their armor, which is either armored or protected. I have to pick one. Next, we have quality, which is average. Next is your training of the units, which is drilled in this case. This is followed by their shooting capability, which is a dash. There is no shooting capability for them. Next, their special capabilities. They are close combat, so they are considered to be impact foot as well as swordsmen. So whenever these gain modifiers or special rules in the Field of Glory rulebook, you'll know what troops they apply to. So impact foot and swordsman. And next we have the points per base. So each stand of figures is worth so many points. In this case, 10 points if they are of the armored variety, the top row, or 8 points if they are of the protected armor rating. Now, protected is less quality than armored in terms of armor. So they're a little less armored. And next section we have bases per BG. BG standing for battle group or your basic unit in Field of Glory. So once you buy all your bases here, and let's look at the last column first. Total bases in your army can be from 16 to 48. So you got to buy at least 16 with a max of 48. Once you've bought that number, whatever number between 16 and 48 in bases, you organize them into battle groups. And that's where this column kicks into gear. And this tells us how many bases or stands you can have to make up a battle group. Now, it always has to be an even number of bases when you first purchase and organize your army. There are exceptions, and they'll be pointed out in each army list, but normally it has to be an equal number. So when this says 4 to 8 stands in a battle group, it could be 4, it could be 6, or it could be 8. So you got 3 different sizes of units you can have from the get-go for your Roman Hastatian Principe. And here's your Triarii and your Velites, and they follow the same procedures. So if we skip ahead here, now as I pointed out, there are allied army lists in the back. Now these are armies in Appendix 1. These are armies that don't actually have a full-blown army list, a separate army list in the book. They only function as allied contingents to other armies. And those armies are listed in the back in Appendix 1 under Allied Lists. And here's all of them right there, basically. Mountain Indian Allies. Instead of having a separate army to draw from, they can only be taken as allies. And here it is. Here is that army list you draw from and make up that allied contingent. So again, there are 11 of these armies in the back, and I suspect that each army book in the series, again there's 3, will follow the same format where you get allied lists in an appendix for armies that don't have full-blown armies in the main army list section of the book. So there you go, folks. That is pretty much it. If we do a little bit of a flip through here, you can see some more of the army layouts and the miniatures. It's always inspiring to see those miniatures, little painting inspiration. If any notes apply to an army, they are covered as well at the beginning of each army list. And that's about it, folks. That is Army Lists Book 1 for Field of Glory. Book 2, again, is currently out, and it covers the Dark Ages, Vikings, and all that stuff. Book 3 will go into the feudal period and cover all the Middle Ages and all that good stuff. So there you go, folks. That's my review of Field of Glory Army List Book 1. I enjoyed the book. I think it's useful for me because most of my armies are Republican Romans and Gauls. I do have some Seleucids, some other armies I'm building up, Numidians. So it's a perfect supplement for me in playing Field of Glory games. Field of Glory is a really good game. It's simple procedures to make an army list. So no complaints as far as the mechanics of how list making works in Field of Glory. There's quite a few armies in the book as well, so there's enough variety, I think, to make it a worthy purchase if you play Field of Glory. And that's pretty much the main reason to buy the book if you play Field of Glory. Otherwise, a reference book, there's not a whole lot in there as far as background information on the armies, but that's all right. So if you play Field of Glory, and this period of history in particular, you might want to consider getting this army list book. One other thing I should point out, most armies are about 600, 800 points in size, so you want to keep that in mind when you're building your army lists. Although there is a version, FOG 300, I mentioned that in the rules review for Field of Glory 3, that there is a version to play with smaller armies, 300-point armies basically, and it's called FOG 300. And I'll probably make a video separately all about FOG 300 and how you can get into Field of Glory relatively quick. So stay tuned, folks. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about this army list book or Field of Glory in general. What do you think of it? Is it worthy to you? Is that something you're going to be interested in getting into? Let me know. Remember, folks, like, share, subscribe, and until next time, folks, hang in there. It's only going to get better.